Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday edition of the Paranormal Weekend Morning Brew Show. And yes, I'm going to try and figure out how to shorten the name. Anyways, we're going to get into the disclaimer right away, and then Eric and I will be discussing the opening topic is going to be Bigfoot, okay, Sasquatch, Hairy Man, Oman, you name it, Wood Booger, Woolly Booger, Yeti, whatever you want to call it, whatever part of the world you're from. Okay. Anyways, the disclaimer is Nighthawk High Strange, this podcast channel may use some copyrighted material without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the fair use, which ironically is the Copyright Act of 1976. Imagine that. Nighthawk High Strange's podcast channel and all the podcasts on the channel declare fair use of any and all content, including the music, under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976 for fair use allowances for the purposes of criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, research, investigation, and general knowledge only. And let's not forget the entertainment value. Per Section 17, Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, otherwise known herein as the fair use. Ooh, man, I got to shorten that too. Good Lord. All right, we are going to get into a topic today, but I want to run the short commercial for David Strickland Knives, and you all know that. So let me go ahead and run that commercial. And David Strickland is no way affiliated with the channel, other than he's a friend of mine on Facebook, and I like his work. Okay, so don't assume that he's paying me to do this. He's not. That is a commercial actually that I made for him to run on my channel. So just to help him out, he's a good guy and he does beautiful work. So, anyways, that being said, we know a lot of knife makers that do beautiful work. As Eric can testify to, and we try to give them all fair play, on all the podcasts. So, Eric, you want to talk about do you have any information on Scallywag or that you can bring up?
I'm a big Scallywag fan. I don't have mine sitting next to me, unfortunately. I own several Scallywag knives. I've got two Orcas. I've got a Jolly Roger. I've got the fishing knife. I've got the Transformer. I've got a couple other ones. They're great. I love Scallywag tactical knives. I always get the blemish blades. I don't usually use DA's discount code when I get the blemish ones because you're already getting them at a good discount, and I like their company. I like their product. So I don't normally do that, but you can. Even on the blemish blades, use his code.
Okay.
But I use mine every single day. I use mine at work. I use mine at the house, everywhere.
His code is DA20, isn't it, or something like that?
I believe so, if memory serves me correctly.
Yeah. Anyways, just, if you get to, check both those knife makers out because, we really believe in the quality of knives. And y'all know that with a Viking over here and a Native American here, we love our knives. Okay. There's not a day go by that I don't carry my knife with me. So, we love our
another
knives.
good one. Another good one's Brock Blades. I mean, Ken Brock hand makes his own knives. You can buy two of the same knives. Yeah. I mean, Ken Brock, you can buy two of the same knives, and they're not going to look the same. He hand forges every single one of them.
All right, exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's
Yep.
another one.
And I'll tell you what, it's a dying art. It's a dying art, man. It really is.
Mm,
So, anyways,
yeah, one
we
of
are
these
going to
days I'll be
start
rich.
the topic.
That's where I can
Yeah,
get.
we are going to start the topic today off with Bigfoot. It's something that Eric and I were talking backstage about, and we've kind of we've covered most everything else as best as we could, with the Friday night podcast. And it's been a while since we actually talked about Bigfoot, the big hairy guy. Um,
Mhm.
you know, there's so many things to cover on this topic. You're probably not going to get it all in one shot, but
No.
um, well, why don't you go ahead and start it, and then we'll go on and we'll go on with whatever the chat wants to do. Because I think everybody's already sick and tired of hearing me talk about what to do and what not to do when you're dealing with cryptids and Bigfoot and all that. So I'm going to let you start this topic there, young fella.
Yeah, I mean, I practice a lot of the same stuff that you talk about quite often. I'm always respectful of the land. I'm always trying to, like, whenever I harvest a deer, I have a certain area, or any kind of wildlife. If I harvest, I have a certain area that what I don't use, that's where I take that to. And it's, to me, it's very important. It's not
I'm just going to play
gifting.
in the background.
Yeah, it's not gifting. It's actually, me giving back, or giving to Mother Nature what I don't use. I mean, we live in a circle together, a great circle together. So, and I always practice, like when I'm harvesting mushrooms or harvesting berries, I don't pick the area clean. I leave some for the rest that's in nature. I'm a big fan of that. And as a result, I'll show you some pictures that I've got. And this is stuff I've collected, through my time here. Um, I get activity like this year. I mean, this year was a cedar tree that was stripped, and this is outside of one of my game cams. But it was stripped and stuck in the ground like that, right outside the view of my game cam. And not far from it was this right here. I got that big old print right not far from where that sets itself. I mean, this is just a few things. Like, I mean, here's another one. Um, this was up a hill from my bottoms, where I found a lot of strange activity from that time I heard all that chatter out there in my woods. And hey, Poncho, hey, Blue. Um, I found that on top of the hill up there. Um right behind my house, I found this in December 2022, right behind my house, where they made a little blind about 30 yards behind my house. It's just, I mean, I get a lot of stuff. I mean, and we talk about they gift. Twice I've gotten skulls like this. Twice I've had
Yeah.
this on my porch. You know,
Yep.
last year I didn't get a chance to go hunting, so I didn't practice my normal yearly ritual. And I get this laying outside my back window, a part of a carcass with a vertebrae sitting on top of it.
Hmm.
That one was a first. So I don't know if it's because I haven't been out hunting where I can do normal practice, or if it was telling me something. I don't know, but that was laying right outside my back window. And it was just weird how this little thing, you can kind of see footprints too coming up there right where this thing was dropped off with a little vertebrae on it.
Hmm.
So, I mean, this is stuff I find when, you practice stuff. I always talk about my guests. My guests are the Bigfoot I have that live out here. We've lived together in peace and harmony for 32 years.
Right.
Now, not to say that there won't be one of them with a bad attitude, or I jack up and it comes to jack me up. I mean, that is definitely a possibility. You have to be careful no matter what you're doing. Like I said, it takes one bad instance one bad Bigfoot with a bad attitude, and that 32 years of peace and harmony's done went out the window. I mean, you have to keep that in mind. These things, these creatures are not. I mean, they got own personalities. I mean,
Right.
seriously, I'm a firm believer they have their own personality. Listen to all the tales that Native Americans tell you. I mean, they fought with them, they warred with them, they traded with them, they lived together in a great circle. But it was just like anything else. You had your good ones, you had your bad ones. I mean, we is that tree? So Dario asked, "Is that tree structures?" Yes, those one pictures, Dario, are tree structures that I find very common out here. I can pop them up again. Like I said, a lot of people talk about the X formation, which is this one here. Every time I've found these has been right outside of the triggering area of my game cams. This is where I find these most commonly at. Another spot I find these at is right outside of areas that I have a lot of strip cedar. So those are two common places I find this type of formation.
Yeah.
So, but this one right here
Well,
actually is right outside a game cam.
yeah, you know that a lot of people assume that. Oh, you're getting feedback. Um, a lot of
Oh,
people assume. Yeah, a lot of people assume that when they come across an X like that, that it's the hairy man, big brother, whatever you want to call him,
mm-hmm,
telling people to stay out. And it's always been my impression that it has a dual meaning. It not only means for people to stay out, but it also
mm-hmm,
forewarns other Sasquatch and Bigfoot that come along that trail what areas to avoid because of
mm-hmm,
possibility of a hunter in a tree, um, or a trail camera being posted up.
mm-hmm. And my trail cams stay right around. I have two tree stands on my property. One I call my bow stand, which is the stand. I don't bow hunt and rifle hunt out of the exact same stand because that gets the deer used to where you're at. So I
Mm-hmm.
have a bow stand on one side of my property. I have a rifle stand on the other side of my property. And I have game cams in them areas, and I have these X formations in them exact same areas. Um, this one here that I was talking about earlier, this was kind of weird. Like I said, this is a blind that was built 30 yards behind my house. It was actually the where the tree is angled up. If you go out from it is where my house is, and this back here, this flat area is where the open area was, where they could go in. And they had a little looking spot right at my house, and then they had this open area here. They could have been doing it for spying on me. They could be doing it because I have a lot of deer activity right in there. This is also in that same area. If you guys seen byways of Bigfoot, um, if you won't be able to see it from the picture, but to the left of it was where all the blackberry bushes were laid over going uphill.
Hmm. Yeah, that to
And
me that
then,
almost looks like a deer hunting blind or something along that line. Some kind of a blockage to where it's
mm-hmm.
harder to depict what's behind it.
And it could be because, like I said, I have a lot of deer. I mean, I have a lot of deer on my property, but you can't see it from here, but there's a nice little deer trail that runs kind of right in. Well, you'll be able to see my mouse, William, but right in
Mhm.
here, there's actually a nice little deer trail that runs in there. And what's funny
Yeah.
is where this is facing. If you walk straight out and just a hair to the left is where my bow stand is.
Hmm.
So
Now
it's actually put up close to my bow stand.
yeah, I've actually seen things like that too, where I've been out in the woods and I have seen funnel locations where there'd be
Mm-hmm.
two or three Bigfoot, um trying, like we chase, in the old days we used to run the buffalo off a cliff, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
stampede them off a cliff in order to hunt. Well, that was before we had the horse. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Bigfoot pretty much does the same thing, but they funnel them into an area that they've they've already marked off with trees being down and stuff, and kind of corralled the deer in there or whatever they're hunting at the time, whether it's elk
Mm-hmm.
or moose or even bear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they hunt everything, just like we do. And
Mm-hmm.
but I've literally seen the funnel locations for these the game animals to be funneled into and be corralled off so they can go in and catch them a lot easier. But that definitely does look more like, to me, in my opinion, is it looks like a deer blind, like some kind of a blind for them to kneel
Mm-hmm.
down behind and maybe take their prey by surprise.
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of what I thought too. Um, I really did, and especially considering what's in that area with the deer trail, with my bow stand, roughly. It's probably my bow stand's roughly 90 to 100 yards from the entrance of that is where my bow stand is, and I have a
Mhm.
lot of heavy deer traffic going through there. So I mean, it was interesting. And what's weird was, and when we went to film Byways of Bigfoot,
Uh-huh.
like uh, like a couple months after I found this here, we went out there, and that location, that blind was gone. It was tore down. Couldn't even tell it was there. I mean, so
Hmm.
they literally came back in and disassembled it.
Yeah,
So I was
because they
like,
don't want anybody getting
wow,
on to their what they're doing. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So I mean,
they're
to
smart,
me, that
man.
was just they are. They're. I mean, they're. You got to think they're called their elder big brother for a reason. We are related to them.
Yep.
So I mean,
And
they are just as intelligent, if not more intelligent, than we are.
yeah, and we have taught them so much through our history and stuff of being, on the earth, and working with Mother Earth, and our hunting
Mm-hmm.
techniques, and our tracking techniques, and our stalking techniques and all that. They've watched and learned from the indigenous people of America,
Mm-hmm.
um, for a long, long time. And
Mm-hmm.
to this day, everybody's wondering why they build teepee structures. Well, I mean, if you lived alongside of an indigenous culture and you saw them making home shelters in a teepee style with buffalo robes and stuff, you would try to do the same thing because it makes practical sense. You can have your fire inside the circle and it would go up through the teepee flaps, and you'd be out of the wind and out of the rain and the cold and all that, so it makes sense that they would model some of their stuff that they're doing to survive off of the indigenous people in that area. So
It, when I was younger, I had some elders tell me that not only did they learn from us, but we learned from them. So I
exactly.
mean, and I always took that to heart because, well, I said that makes sense. If we traded with them and we warred with them, it makes perfect sense because they could communicate. I mean, the elders when I was younger told us that they could communicate with us in our language, is
Hmm.
what they told me. And I said, well, that
Yeah,
makes
there's
sense then. If they can
yeah there's
learn
there
from us, we can learn from them.
yeah there's an old legend. It comes down from the I believe the Shumash people, out of Washington State, um,
Mhm.
that basically back before the Europeans came here and all that, when it was just indigenous populations, that the young Bigfoot would come down, their young males would come down from the mountains, and they would get into wrestling matches with our young men, our young warriors. And it was just a thing to, interact with, and, they would, commune and trade and stuff like that during this type of a yearly thing. And this happened every
Mhm.
year, every spring. Okay. And, for the longest time, this interaction went along until one time, the Big Brother or Hairy Man, Sasquatch, actually accidentally killed one of the young braves, and up to that point, um, we used to be able to talk to them and communicate with them, and now we just use sign language, Native American Sign Language, basically. And they know a few
Mm-hmm.
words. But ever since that accidental death during the wrestling match, Bigfoot never came back down. Sasquatch never came back down off of the mountain to do that interaction ever again. And that's where the separation is said to have happened and occurred between the indigenous
Mm-hmm.
people and Big Brother. So
Hmm.
it's a sad thing, but the indigenous people knew it was an accident. It wasn't done on purpose. You know,
Mm-hmm.
young men, young boys get rambunctious, and they horseplay a little hard, with each other, and sometimes somebody gets hurt or killed. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
the indigenous population that was there didn't get offended by it, but Bigfoot, Big Brother, actually was the one that got heartbroken over it, because they at the time there was a lot of peace, okay, and a lot of harmony going on between us and them, and a lot of trading and all that, and a lot of growing on both sides. And
Mm-hmm.
what's sad about the whole thing is, if that event hadn't happened, we would probably still, to some point, as indigenous people, be having these meetups with them and interacting with them in that way still today, in an honorable way, in a humble way, and a
Mm-hmm.
respectful way. And but now you have it to where, you know the current, and what I mean by current history is like within the last couple hundred years. um you basically have, the wars with them, from the California Native people, that warred with them, and the Colorado, the Paiute, that warred with them, and there's so many different things. It's so today you basically have a hit or miss. You got a 50-50 chance, basically, to, if you have an encounter with one or a family of them, of either being very good and interactive and friendly, not hostile, or you have a 50% chance of it being a very offensive, hostile interaction also. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hit or miss anymore, and that's why we have these stories to pass down to people, so people can learn from them. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot that we have missed over the last several couple hundred years, of interacting with them. So
Mm-hmm. Well, and so you talk about how every spring they come down from the mountains. Was that during like the spring rendezvous when all the tribes got together, and that was like one of the peaceful times? Because I know they had certain rendezvous that all the
yeah,
tribes from all around gathered, and it was a time of peace where they sang and danced and traded and married and all this
yeah,
stuff like this. Was that during that time?
yeah, yep,
That's what I was kind of thinking. I wasn't sure. I haven't heard of that before, so I was cool. I mean, I've heard from elders about coming to rendezvous, but I didn't know if it was something like that or not.
yeah. A lot of people thought that the rendezvous and stuff were a thing when the French came here. The French traders and
Mm,
trappers came here. Um, but no, it was the rendezvous and stuff were going on long before that, with interactions of other tribes and other nations. And what
mm,
Eric's talking about is, we used to send out the grass dancers, and they would dance and smudge the ground that the rendezvous was held on, to purify it in a good way. And that section of land was deemed safe for everybody to travel to and to trade with. There would be no wars, no fights, no bitter feelings or anything like that. Okay. If you had bitter feelings towards, somebody that was coming to trade or interact, then you were told to stay away. So, I mean, that's the way it was. Nowadays, it's not. It's not even close to being like that. So you can't even get a dozen people in a room to agree to be humble and less boastful and hateful towards one another. So mankind at its finest, brother. Mankind at its finest.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. I'm granted this is Osage territory, but most of my interaction with elders growing up were Lakota, Cherokee, Pawnee, Crete, and there was another one back when when I used to dance at powwows when I was younger, which I miss dancing at powwows. Y'all, if you want a magical experience, y'all, I'm straight up 100% pure magical. Dance in a
Mhm.
powwow. Oh my God, dude, you are transferred to another universe, another time. The energy, you can feel it. I mean, it's just, God, it's amazing. I miss dancing. I miss dancing. And, Cricket was one of the guys that, kind of mentored me. He was definitely a dude you didn't want to piss off. But, I mean, if Cricket liked you, he may be pissy with you, but he still liked you. And if
Right.
Cricket didn't like you, he'd still pissy with you and you'd probably disappear. I mean, Cricket was Cricket. But he was, I think he was Pawnee. I think Cricket was Pawnee. Um, but yeah, I miss that stuff. Like I've always had a dream that I want to go to the Red Earth powwow. I've always had a pull to go to the Red Earth powwow. That is one of the largest powwows held around, and it's in Oklahoma. But there is so much magic and so much energy at Red Earth powwow that one of these days I'll have the money and I'm going to the Red Earth powwow.
Yeah, Gathering of Nations is another good one.
Mm. That's in the Dakotas, ain't it?
No,
The
that's in
Gathering of
New
Nations.
Mexico. That's the one in New Mexico in Albuquerque.
Oh, okay. Because I know there's a big one in the Dakotas as well. I know there's a
Yeah,
big one.
yeah, that's the Veterans Day powwow you're thinking of, I believe.
I might be. Oh, Poncho, you lucky dog. I've got to go. That's like one of the biggest ones in my area is the Red Earth in Oklahoma. Uh, I've not been to that one. I've heard of it. I got kin that's Comanche, so I mean, that would be fun to go. You know, a lot of people don't. So if y'all know the movie John Wayne movie The Searchers, that was actually made about my cousin. That's a real life event that happened. It was a great movie. False at the end of it, but it was a great movie. When she was rescued, she died a couple weeks later from a broken heart. She didn't want to be rescued. Her husband was the last Comanche chief to ever surrender. So I mean, I've got a lot of history down in that area, which is sad, but that is where the John Wayne movie was wrong. She wasn't happy. She didn't want to be excited. Didn't want to be rescued, and she didn't live. She
John
died
Wayne's
shortly
teeth,
after being
hey yeah,
rescued.
hey yeah. John Wayne's teeth, hey yeah, hey yeah. John Wayne's teeth, hey yeah, hey yeah. Are they plastic? Are they steel?
Heck yeah,
Uh,
Poncho. It says yes. The New Mexico gathering is wonderful. I'm gonna have to make my way over there as well. But I love that stuff, man. But it's a new energy. It's amazing. I'm actually kicking around trying to get with some of the tribes around here and start doing outdoor powwows here on my property. I mean, I've got enough land to do it, and so many places are kicking us out. We don't have the powwows like we used to. So
yeah.
I've been trying to get around with the local, tribes around here. Is like, hey, look, I've got 40 acres here. I've got a field. We can cut this down. We can have a powwow here,
You don't have
because
to cut
you
it
get more
down.
magic.
You don't have to
Yeah.
cut it down. Just as long as you clean it up with stuff, with loose branches and stuff and deadfall. Um, you can always eventually over time just have the grass dancers come in early and take care of it that
True.
way, the old way.
Mhm.
You don't see that much anymore.
No, you don't. And I can tell you when you do it on Earth versus you do it in a building, so much different, so much more powerful. But when you're connected to Mother Earth doing this stuff, oh yeah.
And
Um,
yes, bare feet.
have any of you guys been to? Heck yeah. Have
Whenever
any
you
of you
get the
guys been
chance.
to Modesto, New Mexico? That's where
Yeah.
I'm having my ashes spread. No, I haven't. Never been there, Corey.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm barefooted right now too. I'm just too fat to be able to get my feet up to show everybody in the camera. I remember when I was every year.
uh,
I'm
anyways,
about to
yeah. I
burn my
mean that
last smudge from Hawaii.
that original gathering though, with the Bigfoot
Mm-hmm.
community and the native populace in the area was a tragic way for it to end. But then again, it was not purposely done. But Big Brother never came down off the mountain again to ever participate because he was ashamed of what he
Mm-hmm.
did. He overexerted his prowess a little bit and accidentally snapped the neck of one of the braves, one of the young men. So
That's sad
that
that they
just
couldn't
goes to
make
show you.
peace on what
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't our decision. They decided not to come back down. So, you know, um,
happened.
who knows? Maybe those times are going to come again. You never know. Maybe it'll happen on your property there, Eric. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be that'd be cool. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if that would be something that I broadcast on social media or content wise because I want to keep that between us.
Right.
But I mean I'm not gonna
Exactly.
lie, it'd be cool because that's the last thing I need is a bunch of freak Bigfoot hunters coming out here and on my property because then I'll be fertilizing my land. I don't like people on my property.
That's a
Um,
good
you know,
question. That's a good question to ask everybody in the chat. That's a very good
mhm,
question. What does everybody think about hunting Bigfoot with rifles?
mhm,
What do you think about trying to trap it? And what do you think about the possibility of them bringing back a corpse, a body, to prove Bigfoot exists? Okay, what's your moral compass on that? Because to me, it would be killing another human being. That's the
mhm.
kind of interaction I've had with them. Like I said, in my lifetime, I've had one bad interaction with them, and that was when I was on my dirt bike, and I interrupted, and it was my fault because I interrupted their hunt, you know. So
Mhm. Yeah. Granted, yes, is that what it's going to take to wake people up? Absolutely. I can't do it. They're my brothers, they're my sisters. They've never done me wrong. The only time I would ever do anything like that is if I needed to defend myself. Which, granted, they are my brothers and my sisters. I'm still going to defend myself if I have to. I mean, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down like a Viking, and I'm going to go to Valhalla because I'm going to make him remember the day. Um,
yeah,
but I can't do it, man. I really can't. I love the what we have going right now. The circle of respect and living together that we have right now. I don't want to ruin that. But
right.
I mean, if it comes down to defending myself, that is the only time. Outside of that, no, and that's what worries me, and that's why I don't want strangers out here, is because I don't want somebody getting a stupid thought in their head and they do something like that. Because I got to think about me and mine as well. If somebody gets a stupid thought in their head, that can very well ruin all the peace and harmony we have here.
Yeah,
I mean,
Richard's right.
I made them. hmm I made them mad when I had that documentary crew out here. They were mad about that because I had strangers. This was something different, something new. So Lord knows what happened if something like that happened.
Yep. Yeah, the non-believers are the ones that are the I don't even want to say non-believers. I want to say non-encounters people are the one that
Mm-hmm.
want to basically they're taking the word of somebody that had an alleged um bad
Mm-hmm.
interaction with them, aggressive interaction with them, and that's why they
Mm-hmm.
deem that they think that they can go and hunt these people because that's you know our people wouldn't even hunt the bear unless it attacked our villages in the old days because we respected the bear so much that we honored him because he was the first medicine man of our people. Okay, he
Mm-hmm.
taught the people what barks to use and what herbs to use for ailments and stuff and what things you could eat in the
Mm-hmm.
wintertime or in the springtime to survive that's coming through, transferring from winter to springtime. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so out of respect, because the bear walked on two legs also part of the time, so we respected that. And that's for the
Mm-hmm.
same reason that the indigenous cultures around the Americas don't hunt the Sasquatch, that don't hunt Bigfoot because of that mutual respect, because it'd be like hunting another human being. And we don't want to go there. I don't personally want to go there because like I forget who it was said in the chat that it brings bad karma. I think it was Blue Doe that said it. But there's so many out there that are looking so hard to have that body on the concrete slab to prove to science that they exist. Well, science already knows they exist because they got the stuff hidden in the Smithsonian,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's nothing to prove to anybody.
Yeah, it ain't, and the thing is people look at these Bigfoot as creatures. In a sense, yes, you're correct, they're creatures, but so are we. They are an extension of humanity. They are a link to our
Yeah.
past. I mean, we are connected. There's a reason why we can mate with them and they can mate with us. We are
Well,
connected. We are linked.
yeah.
And
And
I
it's
mean,
not even
Elder
it's not
Bigfoot.
even it's not even that aspect of that alone that's the reason.
Mm,
Because there's if you've ever had a true interaction with them, as you can probably know out there, those of you that have encounters with them, you know that the alpha male of the group is basically the father of the group. Okay, well, where
mm,
there's a father, there's a mom. Okay, where there's a mom, there's usually a child. Okay,
mm,
they are probably the most loving and family oriented units that you can find in the wild. Other
mm,
than maybe the canine species and the bear species, caring for their pups and their cubs the way they do. Um, it's incredible if you've ever seen it, never experienced it. Because remember, when I was growing up, I saw them playing in trees with the little ones, and taking them from branch to branch so on the trees, 9-10 feet up in the
mm,
tree, and while they're standing on the ground. Um, so seeing them interact in a human way really brings it into perspective. So, and
mm,
there's a lot of hunters out there that say, "Oh, I looked at him through my scope and I saw his face, and his face looked so human that
mm,
I couldn't squeeze the trigger." You
mm.
know, so
Look, look at their footprints compared to yours. Yes, theirs is bigger, but theirs is very similar to ours as well.
right,
I mean, footprints alone is going to tell you a lot on that. Look at the handprints. They have dermal ridges. I mean, there's so much that connects us with them. I mean, some of them look very human like, Is that the reason why the one of the leading theory is they're the last remnants of Neanderthals out there? Absolutely, that could be what they are, or it could be just a human and Sasquatch offspring that looks that way. Both of them very
Yeah.
plausible. Very
Do
good possibility, and
me a
both of
favor.
them may actually.
Do me a favor. Leave that comment up there, okay? I'm going to show somebody
Yeah.
something. What he means. This is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and put a picture here if I can. If I have enough space on here, if I can find it, and show you what we're talking about when he's putting trees. When the alpha
Mm-hmm.
gets so mad and marks his territory by turning trees upside down. I want to show everybody this. This is what we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
Okay. That was clearly pulled out of the ground and shoved back into the ground. In some instances, they have been found to be 6 to 8 feet in the ground upside down, which shows you just how
Mm-hmm.
freaking strong they can be when they're upset. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is a way to mark a territory for a big alpha male to protect his family. This is saying, I'm strong, stay the hell away. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what Corey's talking about right there.
Yep. I've never had one that big on my property. I've had one that's about 3 inches around that was pulled up and stuck upside down. But I think it's because we got a good understanding. They know that I live here. This is my land, but they're welcomed here. Maybe that's why it was a small one that was done that way. Maybe it was a juvenile practicing, because I've got plenty of footprints of juveniles on this property. And that could be a juvenile playing as well. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard, no kidding. These forest people are not invading human areas and waging war. They stay to the. Yeah, they do. For the most part, they do. They are known to be in cities.
Yeah, if you notice, the only reason they even pull live trees out of the ground or break live branches off the ground is usually because of an interaction towards humans from coming in and encroaching in the area. They're doing their best that they can to leave signs for us humans to know that they are in the area for a specific reason and to stay out. When you see a twisted tree trunk twisted so many times that the fibrous parts of the tree inside are popping out, you know that is a Sasquatch doing that. Okay, that's Big Brother doing that, and he's doing that for a reason. He's not doing it just to kill a tree. He's using that tree as an example to humans to stay away. Otherwise, they're going to have their heads twisted off their bodies like that. There's just a way that they don't want any interaction with humans, and humans are so arrogant that they believe that they own everything and can do whatever they want. And that's why there's that negative interaction with hunters and certain hikers and stuff, so
Well, and that's funny. Sadly, it's on my external hard drive, so I can't pull it up right now. It'd take me some time. I actually got a tree out here that has been bent, and you can see all the fibers been separated from it, and some of the limbs were broke off of it. It was bent over and stuck. So the tree that was in the ground like this, it was bent over and stuck at a 45. So it was like in the ground like this, and that's just right over here. 20, 30 yards from the back of my house, not far from where that blind was.
Right.
So
exactly.
Where was that tree at, Williams? What Dario wants to know. If you don't know, Dario is one of our new followers. He's from Italy. He was in my live last night. I really get a kick out of his intel.
Yeah, I talked to Dario quite a bit on the YouTube channel, Nighthawk Strangeness. and
Yeah.
definitely our family member out and from Italy. So you know, much love and respect to all of our
Yeah.
family members in Italy. You know, um, that was taken in the state of Washington. That's where that picture was taken. So, and that was
Hmm.
from a trip that my father and I did to the West Coast um, at one time when I was, well, I think I was like 13 at the time. So,
Mm. Yeah, I mean, yes, Hobbit, we're invading their land, but we all live together in the land as one. So it's in one instance, yes, we're invading the land, but not really because we're all part of the land. So it's just we're sometimes you'd be interrupting their hunt, like Williams told me, and I think that's the times that I get the bad feelings. I need to stay out of the woods, is because they're hunting.
yeah.
I don't think it's anything else. But that's the feeling that I get is, hey, we're out here hunting. We would like you to stay back, and generally I
Or
do. Unless
yeah,
that was
or
absolutely.
they're worried. Yeah, or they're worried about the protection of their young. If they have young
Yeah.
ones, I mean, think about how protective we are towards our children when they're younger. We don't let them wander off too far, and we try to keep them within ear and eye shot, of us. Well, they're the same
Mhm.
way, with their young ones. They want their young ones just to be as safe and healthy and happy as we want ours to be, you know.
Mhm.
Um, except those satanic SOBs in Hollywood and in the music industry. They don't want it to be happy, safe, and happy and healthy.
Mhm.
So, but that's a whole another open can of worms, people. So we'll get into that some other time.
Mhm. I had one roar at me when I was young, and I thought it was an excavator throttling up somewhere close. I've never had them roar at me. They do a whoop. I'll try to do it. It's hard for me to mimic, but it's like a whoo, whoo. Is what they'll do. They'll do something very close to that there, or they'll mimic a bird or an owl or a dog.
Corey,
I've had them do that. You know.
uh, Corey says my dumbass went looking for it.
That's the thing is I probably dude when I got
Uh,
oh my god, I wish it wasn't raining that day. I was hearing them chatter out in the woods because that rain muffled because I took my parabolic mic out and I've got my parabolic mic set up where I can actually have it digitally recording. So I have a digital recorder that velcros to the back or to the top of it, and I run my cable up there so I can record and I got a rubber band that stays on the trigger. So I can set that out there and walk away and to catch stuff like that a lot. And I can have, as long as the batteries last in the parabolic mic and the batteries last in the camcorder, I can record the whole entire time. Sadly, it was raining that day, and so I wasn't able to clearly catch the chatter I was in. And I call it samurai chatter because to me that's what it sounds like. It was samurai chatter, and so I wasn't able to catch it. And that's that one tree formation that I was talking about. I said I found on top of the hill when I found all that strange stuff down in the bottom when I went looking for that chatter. That was all found the day after I heard that.
yeah.
So I've I'm almost convinced I've had a juvenile on top of my dad's camper when I was out here before he moved out. Even though I could have swerved my daughter, the more I think about it, I don't think my daughter is strong enough to rock a camper the way this thing was rocked. But I was hearing stuff crawling around on top too. So I'm wondering if it wasn't a juvenile messing around because right when I was leaving is when I heard that owl call and that dog bark and that bird like call right after all this had happened.
I'm going to put that chart up for everybody right now to see the size comparison chart because this is something that will blow some people's minds. And this is just the um, common basic understanding of a chart for the hairy man, big guy. And you see how they've got the skunk ape a lot shorter and more aggressive looking than the actual Bigfoot or
Mm-hmm.
the Yeti. Um, but you see the human woman standing next to the Bigfoot, the size difference, that you're talking about when you're coming across the big alpha. And they've been
Mm-hmm.
even bigger than that. I mean, I've seen
Mm-hmm.
alphas that were well over 11, maybe even 12 feet tall. So, but I thought that was very interesting. And then down on the lower right of the picture, you have the orang pendek, which is the smallest version that is on, I think it's on Malaysia. I think it's Malaysia. Um,
Mm-hmm.
orang pendek is. But yeah, it's that chart is really something because it shows a lot of the different sizes and stuff of what we're talking about too. And for as small as the orang pendek is, barely 3 feet, 4 feet tall. I mean, it's as strong as a freaking as 10 human men, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's get back to the chat here. I'll go back. I've been going back and forth as much as I can.
Yeah.
I'm already,
Hobbit
yeah,
says
Indonesia.
Indonesia as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Indonesia. Yep, yep. And Indonesia, ironically,
Yeah.
too, is where they spotted the thunderbird. They've literally spotted the thunderbird in Indonesia, also, which is kind
No
of
kidding.
ironic considering we have that all over the United States too.
Yeah. A lot of common reports, recent reports coming out of Texas about
Mm-hmm.
seeing the Thunderbird. You
Yep.
know, I've always
And
wondered
they're
if the Thunderbird wasn't like a dragon, but the more I look at it and the more I study it, it's a pterodactyl.
right. Yeah, it's definitely a large bird of bird of prey. So
Mm-hmm.
there's some cases where it's described as a large, like turkey vulture, and others are described more like a pterodactyl. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna put a map up here,
Another world
and
moves in dark.
I'm gonna show you what's been spotted all over in the old days. And as you can see on top of this mountain range here on this map, you can clearly see the human
There's
looking Bigfoot right there on the mountain, you know. Um,
mm-hmm.
so it would have had to have been around for a very long time because this map is very, very old. So
Yeah, Pyrese map.
yeah, and you can also see it's got like a dog man and a lizard man on it too, and even I believe there's even a dinosaur on it down in the lower right corner.
Um,
So,
if memory serves me correctly, there is, yes. I haven't
but I
seen
thought
that
that
map in a little while, but
yeah.
I believe there
I,
is.
So I just wanted to throw that up there to let everybody know that they have been documented throughout history. So obviously, they're out there. So if science doesn't want to believe it,
I
then
mean
that's
that
on them.
that map even shows you of sea serpents and other types of sea monsters as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is a
Exactly.
Tyrese map from what 1560, I believe, is when that was drawed up somewhere around in there.
Yeah,
Um,
somewhere around there. Yeah.
yeah, it shows a lot of stuff that people say, "Oh, this ain't real," and I mean, it's all on this map. But where that picture is that you just showed is Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
That was Antarctica without ice. Hey, Moon. Joyce says, I saw a giant bird between Birmingham and Montgomery, Alabama. Don't know what it was. Had bat like wings. That sounds a lot like what they describe a thunderbird as being.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
So I'm
And that's
trying
the
to
thing too. I mean, I'm trying to get caught up on the comments. William, I'm sending you a drawing of a photo of something I've seen in that map.
sounds good, Corey. Sounds good.
Mhm. I want to go to Hanabia. It's not far from Oklahoma. Huh. There's a lot of activity there, Richard. Um, but no, I mean it's there's so much interesting stuff there. I mean, throughout history, if we just study history, and I know. I mean, this is my opinion, my theory. I don't believe Bigfoot uses portals. I believe they use adaptive camouflage. Now, I do know from stories from elders that they talk about the Bigfoot's holy man having the power to do it, but I'm not talking about your everyday one. Your everyday one doesn't use them because if you study portals and you study the history on portals, every single culture, even some of the Native Americans will tell you you got to have a key with a certain frequency in order to go in and out of that portal. So not every
Yeah.
single one of them is going to be able to do that. So I've seen enough video evidence. I know how things work in nature. I'm in nature every single day. I'm an avid hunter. I'm an avid gatherer. Adaptive camouflage is not one going into a portal or cloaking. They literally, when they stop, they blend in. Snakes
Exactly.
do it, deer do it, coons do it, possums do it. All these creatures do this? You won't see them until they move. It's called adaptive camouflage. My opinion,
Yeah.
my theory.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
just
that's
sorry, but
true. I think they're the type of beings that don't limit themselves to only one option.
mm-hmm,
Clearly, because they have survived all these years, um, basically not found out. I mean, only in certain passing conversations or podcasts they're discussed. When they're spotted.
mm-hmm,
So, or allegedly spotted. So, I mean, it's a horse apiece. I mean, yeah, adaptive camouflage, hell, that's what they taught us in the military. So it's not that hard to
mm-hmm,
do. um but there is instances where I do believe that they have certain almost paranormal supernatural type of abilities. I believe that some of them, which are, like you said, the holy ones, that were responsible
mm-hmm,
for the communal living to be peaceful and to have interaction with the things in a harmonious way, um, are the ones that have the ability to do the portals and all that, and you know shift into something maybe. And it
mm-hmm,
goes back to, again, what I said in the beginning of the podcast. They have been watching the indigenous people for thousands of
mm-hmm.
years. Okay. And they have learned also from the indigenous people just as much as the indigenous people learn from them. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer that you're going to find that there are ones with bad attitudes and that hate humans, just like
Mm-hmm.
you would find humans that hate humans, and have bad
Yeah,
attitudes. So,
there we go.
I
The
mean,
Dugwee, prime example.
yeah. And it's one thing to say you've interacted with them in a peaceful way, but and I've had it both ways.
Right.
Um,
What's
but
that?
if I was a Bigfoot or a skunk ape living in a swamp, um, all the time, my feet being soaking wet, probably in a lot of pain, having to fight gators, cottonmouths, cougars, bears, coyote packs every day for food, and then deal with the bad weather and inclement weather on top of that, living in a swamp. I'd be mean too. I'd be pissed off all the time. That's just the way it is. You get from the environment what you give, okay, out in an outward emotion. And if the environment is treating you in a hostile way, you're going to be in a hostile mood. Okay. If an environment is peaceful, like Sedona, and you can burn your incense and do your mantras and stuff, and you're just in that spiritual vibe, you'll have a peaceful interaction. You know, that's just the way I think, and I have yet to see anybody prove otherwise, that they're hateful all the time, because they're not. It depends
No.
on the environment they're in, what they're having to put up with, whether their family is, they feel their family is being threatened for or safety in any way, whether they feel the environment around them is threatened in any way. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, you think about the number of times that all the wildfires and all those people, those poor humans out there that have lost their homes and everything, from a wildfire. The same thing happens to them. You know, they usually end up either getting killed or having to relocate completely to an area they're not familiar with. And those
Hmm.
areas of unfamiliarity that are out in the wild are growing further and further and fewer from time to time, because mankind keeps encroaching upon the wild. And eventually we're going to run out of wild, you know?
Oh yeah, and that's the key is that's important. I was reading some comments here. They're saying they're not our friends, or and we can't befriend them. I don't necessarily agree with that. I have very peaceful interactions, encounters here. I've been in areas in the world where my encounters have not been peaceful. Now, could that be because I'm a stranger? Unlike here, they're familiar. I've lived here for 32 years with these things here, so we're familiar with each other. And is that why in other parts of the world, when I've had encounters with these types of creatures, that it's not been as friendly as what I have here? Possibly. There's places here in the U.S. I've had interactions with that is not been as it's not been hated. There wasn't evil content. It was more like, who the hell are you and why are you in my territory type of
Exactly.
feelings. And that could
Yep.
be because I'm a stranger, I'm an outsider, I'm unfamiliar.
Yep.
And I mean, that's my opinion. That is solely my opinion, just through my experiences of traveling this world. This is how it's been
Yep.
for me. I could be right.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
could be 100% wrong.
Yep.
So, but
Exactly.
I believe we can because I
Yeah.
live it.
I just, their traits, their traits are so
Yep.
human like, when it comes to interacting with humans, because there's some humans that I don't even want to be around either, and that
Hmm.
if they're on my property, I'm going to chase them off. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's just a fact of life. Deal with it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I tell people all the time, even though I have a peaceful harmony here with these things, all it takes is one. All it takes is
exactly.
one with a bad attitude or me doing something wrong, and that peace and harmony is destroyed. It takes
Yep.
one. Either it takes me
Exactly.
jacking up, or it takes one of them in a badass attitude and don't like people.
Oh, oh man, here comes another yawn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to make another cup of coffee. I'm just ready to fall asleep.
I didn't get much. I got caught up in some damn movies last night. I didn't get to sleep till about 3 this morning. I was watching Divergence and Insurgents and Allegiance, and I got halfway through the Allegiance, and I went, "Holy crap! It's 3 in the morning. I got to go to bed."
Yeah.
Roxanne says, Edie, the ones on your land, I feel you have a respect for them. In return, they let you know. Yeah, and I believe you're right, Roxanne. That's how I feel. But like I said, that's just my experiences. And I
Yep.
100% could be wrong about it. I could be blowing smoke out of my ass. But I can just tell you what my experiences are, and that's just how they are here. So, I mean, I get them that mess with my damn
Right.
window when I'm typing. They'll come up and literally on my window, and I'll be like, "What the hell?" And I look at it, and you can't see nothing because it's dark as hell outside. I've had them literally. I was like, "Dude, something's watching me," and I look through my living room window. You can feel something watching you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Hello, Twisted. Um, but I mean, like I said, it really just depends on how you are, how they are, and how well they know you.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I won't ever hunt them down. And the ones here, no, I'm not here to hunt them. I've never have ever projected that image. I've said this thousands of times. Your thoughts soar through the air like an arrow through an open field. They pick up on that stuff, and maybe that's why. I can't tell you, but maybe that's why. Because my thoughts have been nothing but peace and harmony and respect while I'm here. Maybe
Right.
that's why.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, they're going to have good and bad days, just like everybody else. I mean, it just comes with the territory, you know. I think a lot of people just tend to put too much
Mm-hmm.
analyzing into why they're acting so aggressive, because a lot of times, honestly, when you actually sit back and think about it, we would have
Mm-hmm.
acted probably the same way if we were with our family and there was, say, an angry
Mm-hmm.
group of people around, and breaking branches and throwing garbage everywhere, in our house,
Mm-hmm.
so it's about a horse apiece. I mean, it's 50-50. You're going to get what you
Mm-hmm.
get, you go there with a good intention and you can, prepare for the worst, but, pray for the best. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just like in anything in life. So,
Gino says I had one scream at my window, the dang mother. I can see that. I've never
mhm.
had one scream. I've heard them. I've heard them walking on my ramp. I've heard them tapping on my window, and I know. I mean, you just get that feeling. I
If you
know
hear
they're
them,
watching me
if
through
you
my
ever
window.
hear one scream, if you've ever heard one scream, it will literally send chills down your spine, and
Mm-hmm.
it'll make your heart stop. That's the kind of
Mm-hmm.
scream we're talking about. They are, when it comes to that type of vocalization, yeah, it's something when you
Mm-hmm.
hear it and it's close. If it's real close, it'll make you want to jump out of your skin and run. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're right, Corey. I mean, even like when they used to come here every so often, and they weren't on this property as frequently. They weren't continually on my property throughout the year until after my mom passed away and my dad moved out. They'd only come during certain times of the year. It's just since then is when I've been getting evidence all year round of them still being here. They used to whoop at me, and like when I go to my truck to leave for work, they would whoop and let me know, hey, we're in this area. And I always raise my hand up. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you later. I'm going to work, and I'd leave. I've always that is how it's been. Now I'm finding stuff all year round where they're here continually. Is that because yes, my dad would hear something funny and just start popping off rounds? Is that why they weren't as round as much when he was? I believe so. I mean, I could be wrong, but it fits the bill considering up until that time, I usually seen them to mid to late fall to early to mid spring, and now it's all year round.
yeah. Yeah, they It's just something when you're interacting with them. The the
Mm-hmm.
the one time I remember very vividly, because most of the interactions I had were with the males, the big males or the big moms. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I had one interaction to where it literally just fried every circuit in my brain. Um, and this was a few years back, probably, I want to say probably about 2011, 2012, when a big one crossed the road in front of me on my way to work at 4 o'clock in the morning. And, I remember hitting my high beams, and because I was driving, I drove an old 87 square body Chevy pickup truck, so loud and bright. I had the driving lights on it and everything. So I hit my high beams as it was crossing the road, and it was literally on all fours. And on all fours, as God is my witness, this thing was as big as my short bed Chevy square body pickup truck. On all
Mm-hmm.
fours. On all fours. That was, it just literally blew my mind. And all it did was it walked great ape style, like it owned the road. Didn't try to run when it saw the headlights or anything. Just basically kept on walking on its knuckles and stuff like a great ape would on in, and it went down into the ravine and back up the hill on the other side into the wood line. And
Mm-hmm.
that has stuck in my memory so vivid, that to this day it still blows my mind when I think back to that day, um, and that
Mm-hmm.
morning, that early morning. And it was so massive, but the head was small compared to the body. The body was big and massive, it's like a big great ape, but the head was very small on the body, and it seemed to have been inward a little bit, like tucked in, like having no neck, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as it was walking. And I'm not sure if that was just a defense mechanism because of the bright lights. But yeah, it wasn't aggressive. It didn't rush to get out of my way or anything. Didn't get up on two legs and run. It just meandered across the road like it owned the road. And, so do they have the ability to sense that people aren't going to harm them? Maybe. I mean, I was not going to harm that one because it was as big as my truck. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but
Hobbit
yeah,
here's
it
had
was.
a weird encounter. Said,
Oh,
try having one in your bedroom window at the age 5, blocking out the moonlight and breathing like a perverted, loud enough to wake you up.
yeah. Now, Hobbit, did they, because whenever they've been breathing around, a lot and heavy around when I've been around, it sounds almost like a horse that's been ridden hard, and that their lungs are just so massive that it's forcing the air out. I'm just kind of curious to see if that's what they experience, because whenever they breathe around, or, and interact with me, they literally, it sounds like they've been running a marathon. And they just, maybe it's because they're so big and their lung capacity is so big, but man, it's you can literally feel them breathe. That's what happens. You can literally feel them breathing every breath.
Yeah. Hobbit goes on to say, yes, I slithered out of bed and ran to my parents' room. Cops came and they laughed at the description of the massive thing. And then it says 55 years later, and I can still hear that massive, deep breathing it was doing
Yep.
while its face against my window screen. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something
Juno said,
you're not going to forget. Yeah. Yeah, that's something you're not
Mhm.
going to forget.
Juno says my son had pissed them off, so they followed him home to return the favor, but got the wrong window. Oh, crap.
Oh man.
Corey says they have folded vocal cords and massive lungs. Yeah. I mean, we know from stories, we know that they have speech. You know, the Native Americans tell you they communicated, they have speech. You know, the stuff we've heard on recordings, the stuff I've heard out here, I am a firm believer they have speech. So, yes, I mean, exactly.
Yep, exactly.
They move a lot of air, I bet. Yeah, I believe so, Richard. I believe they do because they're so massive. Yeah. Pancho says distracted, but back to listening. All right, buddy.
Must be food in front of them.
Yeah, Hobbit says sort of like that, but with a deep rumble in the breathing.
Yeah.
Corey says they can hide messages in their house that we can't hear. Yeah, I mean it's been well documented. If y'all recall the Sierra sounds, when that was vocally analyzed through the system, even it said it was letting out frequencies that a human ear cannot hear.
Yeah.
Hey, American. Yes, the thing was taller than the window and completely blocked out the night. Wow, Hobbit. So, American, not only did he exist, but he still exists. But his name is not Jesus, it's Yeshua.
Let me see if I can find that one picture that let me see here. I'm going to see if I can find a picture to pop up.
Breathing sounds like Bigfoot. There you go, Roxanne. What are you trying to say, Roxanne? Do we need to have a private conversation? I think you and me need to communicate on Messenger later. if your boyfriend sounds like Bigfoot, are you breaking out the shaving razor and the raspberry preserves? I mean, come on.
Oh God! Oh God!
Yes, everybody hit that like, subscribe, and share button and build Williams show channel. This man, he's a fountain of information, Lakota medicine man. Let's build his universe, man. This is a great show, a great brother, great creator, great host. You know, so let's build his show up. Okay, Roxanne. Let me get that down. You got that picture up.
Anyways, there you go, Hobbit. See if that brings back memories, because this was a reported sighting of one of them looking in the window of somebody's cabin. And yeah, and it's a drawing. Yes, it's a drawing, but you know, it's an artist rendition of the way the interaction was described. So
what gets me is the red eyes.
Yeah,
that to me tells me it's more of a demonic deal than it is an actual encounter, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Hobbit says police wrote it up as a window peeper. They checked outside and found nothing, not even prints on the windowsill or on the ground. At least they said they didn't find it. We kind of know that they kind of embellish things to hide it because they're not allowed to say it.
They're right. And there's one other I want to put up here too that I've got to, let me take that down. I'm taking that down, and I'll be putting up another photograph here in a second. Let me see if I can find it. Come on, where is it? I just saw it.
Exactly, Richard. They think about it. What is besides a human? What is the next most favorite thing they blame? Like bad encounters, like livestock being, massive amount of livestock being mutilated. Well, it's the next thing besides humans that they blame as encounters, and it's a bull mastiff. It seems like it's always bull mastiff related or something like that. It's weird. Hey, Camo.
All right, let me see here. I'll find it eventually. Let me see.
Hobbit says I couldn't see any facial details due to the pitch black and made things. Not even moonlight was seen. Yeah. Yeah, Richard, dog attacks. My butt, exactly. But that is the second. That's what they told us when we had all them strings of livestock being killed out here. Was that there?
Here's a picture of one that's hidden behind a tree, but you can't really make it out. But you can see the eyes and a nose from it, and it's just there within the tree. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. No worries, Camo. It's good seeing you here, buddy. Hobbit says my dad was out there with the cops looking too and checked. Dad checked in daylight too. He said found no clues.
No footprints or anything, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That might have been something a little along the lines of more of a shapeshifter encounter, because it's been my experiences when you're dealing with shapeshifters, whether it's reptilians or whether it's alien, or whether it's supernatural shapeshifting, like demonic. They tend to have angry eyes, like red eyes or orange burning eyes, like the burning flames of a fire. Um, and that's kind of where that phrase, "the eyes are the windows to the soul," comes from, because usually when you have red glowing eyes or jet completely black eyes with just cold and very, very an uneasy feeling when you look at the thing in the eye, um that's more of a to me that's more of a supernatural interaction. So but they're taking a form of something that they probably knew that would scare you more, but be more realistic to have happened where you were located, you know
Yeah.
like say if it was in the city, okay, if it happened in a big city, a shapeshifter would come to your window, and they would scare you with something that was familiar in the area that you could misconstrued as just being a larger species than what it is being seen. Like if they take a great owl, okay, they can shapeshift themselves into an owl being, okay, into an owl being. In fact, there's in Great Britain, in the UK, there's a cemetery where the owl man is spotted on a regular basis. And to me, that's a shapeshifter. That's something supernatural that's transferring its energy into a form that he knows that, or that it knows, that entity knows that it's going to scare somebody. Um, and that again, that's just a theory of mine that I have from interactions growing up in where I did and how I did. So
Mary Can says I heard Bigfoot are a fifth dimensional being. They communicate telepathically. The local natives say Bigfoot walks between two worlds. They protect kids but hate humans, adult humans.
well, I have on the Rosebud Reservation, there's in South Dakota, there is a place that we call the Great Range. It's like a flat
Mm.
plain area with just grasses, wild grasses growing in it, and wildflowers. And I remember being real little, and I remember the this big female coming down into the basically into the center of the field, and she would let out this mournful, almost like a howl, but it was a sad type of a howl. And the story went that my dad told me was that she had lost her child due to illness, and she was out there every morning for a long time crying for her child. Now, if they're capable of having that kind of emotion, then they're capable of interacting with the human species in a more, friendly manner, a more humanly manner. But they choose not to do it. And, it all goes back to they have had bad experiences interacting with humans, whether it was a hunter, whether it was hikers disrespecting the land. It always has something, whether it was their young dying because their young touched something that a human touched that had an illness, like the big C word, okay? Um, or if they lost, a loved one in a wildfire that was set by somebody not putting out a campfire correctly, and they blame humans for that. I mean, there's so many variables that you can actually, think of to why they don't want to interact with humans.
Mhm.
So I mean, to me, it's rational thinking. And when they can think rationally and act lovingly towards their own family, and like the female crying every morning, every early morning, till like 5 o'clock in the morning. um I mean, it says something for their species. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know of any humans that would go out of their home in the middle of a field, you know, in the middle of the night, from say 2 o'clock in the morning to 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and just howl and wail for the loss of a child. That's not saying that we don't want to do that, that we are capable of doing that. Yes, we are capable of doing that, but we don't mourn in that way. We mourn more
Mhm.
internally for a loss than we do externally. Whereas they are more vocal in their losses. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's more of a way of getting across to humans in the area, like the reservation, to where humans are being told to understand why she doesn't want you around. You know,
Mhm.
so I mean, and it goes back to what we said in the beginning of the podcast. You're gonna have your good ones and your bad interactions, just like with any
Mhm.
human.
Yeah.
So, but if they're able to
Hobbit
mourn
said,
for a loss of a child, then they're
Mhm.
they're very much like us.
Yeah. Hobbit said it shifted around a bit. I could hear that and sort of see that. It was covered in hair for sure.
Hmm.
Corey says MK Davis talked, and I remember, yeah, MK Davis has said this. MK Davis talked about some of them being capable of running like they're on an invisible bicycle and no tracks. Um, Hobbit also says, by the way, this was in a small town only 2 blocks from a state university campus. Uh, he said, Roxanne asked if it was the one in Missouri. And Hobbit says, yes, no way 2 dogs killed the FedEx. Oh, no. That's, yeah, I'm not, yeah, no. Hobbit also says, geez, I can't remember 5 minutes ago, but now I can remember the Bigfoot and every supernatural experience from the age 4 now with vivid detail. When you're in a high stressful situation like that, sometimes it takes time, but the memory can come back and you'll never forget that encounter.
Yep, and that's
Unless you
why we have
permanently
this
block it out of
form.
your brain.
Yeah, that's why we have this form. Yep.
Yeah, you're right, Roxanne, on that one. Kyle says, I dread it. I've got to stir dirt and mow. Hope we get a sprinkle today. Yeah, it's getting cloudy out here again. I need to make some more tea.
Yeah, I
I
got to
like to
get
pack
some
wool.
coffee in me.
So, yeah, I remember the very first time I ever heard these things whoop at me, over 30 years ago. And it shocked the holy living crap out of me. But I
Right.
knew at that moment it wasn't evil, but it was something I wasn't used to hearing. So initially, it scared the crap out of me. But just something inside told me, hey, they don't mean no harm. They're just saying in their way, they're saying, hey, I'm here, just so you know.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I think for
Obviously,
today, I
with the
think
Bigfoot man with
we'll uh,
the
we'll we'll just keep on going with the comments here. Get caught up in the comments, and because I'm starting to get a little bit to where I'm not able to catch my breath. But it's been a good talk today, that's for sure. Um,
Mhm.
I still have the packages for you, for Roxanne, for Ray, and for Ida. I still have your packages here. I'm slowly getting them bagged up and put to where they're supposed to be. Roxanne, this is what you're going to be getting in the mail. A nice big fat one. Okay. And no, I don't mean a doobie. Um, so
doobie
yeah,
doobie doobie doobie.
that's the kind of package you're going to be getting for winning the contest. And I'm putting some other things in a lot of these things too. Um, basically because I can, you know. But I put some in some of them. I put some extra things in them. Like Ida, I put some helpful things to help during times of survival, or when you're walking by yourself. Now I got them all falling down here. Hold on. I knew I shouldn't have messed with it. Dang it.
it's, it's because
Okay,
of
there.
the doobie 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 doobie.
Anyways, I'm putting little trinkets in it, like this for people. So just little things like that to help out. And these are just little knife. I mean, they're nice knives. They're nice pocket knives. You know. So I mean, it's a good size knife. Take a look at my hand compared to it. Okay, it's from my knuckles almost all the way back to the palm of my hand. So I'm putting things in like that to help out people, and to say sorry for taking so long to get it mailed out. But the way my health has been lately, we're lucky anything's getting done. And of course, Tracy hasn't been feeling too good either. So, but that being said, this coming Friday at 11:55 p.m., we're going to be coming on for a special edition of Midnight Monsters. Okay. Now we're going to have my little brother, Ryan Paul Tremblay, on. He is, I adopted him as my little brother. He's my little brother. Him and Shane Crisp are my little brothers. I love them both to death. Those of you that know Shane know to give him a congratulations, because he is a deputy in California now. He is now in law enforcement. And
You ain't gonna
I'm
catch me, copper.
I'm very, very proud of him. That 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 young man is an amazing, amazing young man, and I'm sure he's going to go far in life. I really am. So he's an amazing young man, and he's an amazing dog man researcher too, by the way. So check him out. Okay, um, hit the my little brother Ryan up sometime on his shows and stuff that he does, and his channel that I believe he still does it. Um, but also, I want you all to visit Jessica Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress. You all know her. You all love her. Okay, let's support Jessica and everything she does. Let's visit War Woman Goods on Etsy, where you can find her jewelry. Go to the Cryptid Huntress podcast channel on YouTube and subscribe. Go to ED's channel, The Bizarre and the Unknown, and subscribe to his channel on YouTube, please. Let's make this community grow. Okay, let's just because the more we talk about things in an open forum like this, the better it is for all of us. And the more comprehensive understanding, the more of an outlook we've got to investigate things and to research things. And the better we interact with one another, the better the communication, the better the results are going to be. So definitely look for ED's books on Amazon, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and ED's working on another book. Um, he's going into, what'd you do? Finish up second chapter on it already?
Yeah, I got the second chapter done. I know so I audio recorded myself, so it's not going to be the best in the world to give everybody a kind of rough idea what the book's going to be like. I know I've had one of them already say, "Hey, when you going to release chapter 2?" I wasn't planning on it that way. I just wanted to give everybody an idea of how this book is shaping. I've got some other books that I need to finish first, but I didn't want to lose the concept of this book. That's why I've been working on it this weekend. I got second chapters done.
Cool. Cool. All right, everybody. Well, if you
So,
could, please like, heart, and share this out as much as you can. I want to thank everybody for being here. You guys are phenomenal in the chat. It's been a pleasure seeing Kyle and Hobbit and Roxanne and Blue Doe. Let me see, Corey. It's been an honor having you in there, brother. Let's see, Ida, Twisted, Smurfy. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm slow. I'm getting real slow. Okay, I know there was more than that. Richard, good to see you in there. Camo Dad, Juno, American. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let's see. Poncho, that's the one I forgot. I can't forget Poncho. No way. I do that. And Juno, brother, we got to get you on here so we can talk about Dulce, New Mexico. Okay. So try to think of a good time if you can to come on. We don't need to disclose your location or anything like that. We don't need to even show your face if you don't want to. I can mask it in whatever you want, like I can do me right now, and your voice will be on, but you don't have to worry about people, you know, finding out who you are and all that. If it's job related or whatnot or government related, we can hide that. Um, so I usually hide my face because I'm just butt ugly. So, um, Moon at Noon, thank you, Cynthia, thank you. Um, let's see. Wow, the chat was really moving today. Good Lord.
mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, I like it.
Robin, there's another one for us. Good to see you, Robin. Because I didn't get a chance to say hello to everybody in the beginning, so I'm trying to get everybody acknowledged here um, right now. And that ED Testerman's been in that chat too. I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm. That Yahoo.
If
But
he
you're
starts,
welcome. That's what we're here for.
if he starts any trouble out there in that chat, you guys get on him. Get on that ED. Get on him. Ride it
You
like a
can't catch
bull.
me, Copper. You can't catch me, Copper.
Anyways,
I
thank
gotta
you all
tell
for
Shane
being
that.
here. So yeah, I'm really, really proud of him too. But yeah, Friday night at 11:55 p.m. right here on Friday night coming up. Me and Ryan and Eric will be on here and we'll be talking about chupacabra and anything else that comes up because you know how we are. We just babble on. So Babylon. That's a bad thing to say. I'm not going to say Babylon no more. Um, anyways, everybody have a great, great rest of your day. We have got things to take care of, like coffee and whatnot, and we will see you all Friday night. Okay, take care, everybody.
Yeah. See y'all. Peace.